Hello and welcome to Zero Camp. Today we have a very fun episode about Steamroller 2025. We're looking at Steamroller 2025 and what this brings us. Before I want to dive into this, I want to first look at 24 and just take a look at the 3 scenarios that were removed for 2025. So let's go ahead and dive into that one. And the 3 scenarios that we will no longer see in 2020 from 2024 is Recon Mark IV. Recon Mark IV is gone. Battle Lines is gone. And the last one is Invasion. Invasion did not make the cut as well. I know everyone's super sad about that one. Everyone hated Invasion. So that one's gone as well. So Recon Mark IV, Battle Lines, and Invasion are all gone. So now let's look at what you actually will care about. What do we have now? So if I take a look here, this is our super awesome document. This is an advanced copy of it. So there are some mistakes and stuff that will be fixed on the official release when you're watching this. So first thing I want to look at is some of this sweet artwork. Those of you who are looking forward to Gravediggers, you've got some amazing stuff coming in here. Some cool models in the background here. It's looking real good, and there's more artwork to share. But I wanted to share that before we zoom in into what we're actually looking at here. So a couple things to note here on this document, nicely organized, which is always nice, but let's get into the meat of this. So first thing here, under player responsibilities, you'll see that this has changed slightly, being the objectives. So objectives are now the around 50, 40, and 30 millimeter bases. So the big thing missing there are those 20 millimeter objectives. Those are all gone. Most of the rest of this page remains the same. Talks about the tokens and templates, the proxy base, the table markers. Still only have 2 table markers out at a time. Or sorry, you have as many table markers. The measuring is still 2 at a time. Here it is right here. Player now more than 2 table markers at a time. So that's still there. So all that is still the same. The big thing here is 20 mil objectives are gone, which were the caches and flags were both on 20 mils. And we'll talk about what that looks like here in a little bit. Army list, nothing new there. Keep going there. Setup and deployment. Here is a nice order for the setup and play. So this is clearly laid out for all of us now. So step 1, determine the scenario. In most events, your TO is going to give that to you. Look at your pairs, choose your pair, reveal simultaneously which pair you have. Then choose your rack spells. Then every player rolls the d6 to see who's going first and second. So that's all clearly laid out. I know there had been some confusion in that in the past. Clearly laid out here for us all. So then, after we know who's going first, second player chooses their turns. You then put your scenario on the table, so measure things out, and you put those down on the table. You add the flags, move your flags to the terrain if it calls for that. Then after all that has been decided, then you get into playing your defensive and then starting that clock and deploying it. And all that is detailed there. The other thing you might have noticed here, and I've highlighted it here, is the outlines here are all new and different and easily readable. There's no more triangles, circles, and squares telling us what is what. They are all the same size circle on the maps, denoted by either the 50 for the 50 millimeter, the F for the flag, or the C for the cache. Because remember, the cache and the flags are all going to be on those 30 mil objectives now. So all of those ready to go there. So here is your key for that. Those 50 mil objectives, 40 mil objectives, the flags, and the caches. They're all color coordinated, red and blue to match the player deployment zone. So that is all there for us, and that looks really easy. Again, the flags and caches are 30 mils, all 30 mils. You have your 40 mil objectives and 50 mil objectives. Alrighty, moving on along here. So nothing new on this one except for the change of the side. 50 mil are still the cohorts, leaders, and battle engines. No change there. 40 mil objectives are with 1 or more leader model or a unit within 3 inches of it. So still units on those 40 mils. And then the objective is contested if any of your opponent models are within 3 inches of the objective. So that's the same there. Here is a slight change, the flags and scenario. So when you move your flags to that terrain piece still becomes the objective terrain there, which is has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed that. But so if a scenario contains a flag before development, or sorry, before deployment, and starting with the first player, players take turns choosing one piece of terrain within 5 inches of their own 30 mil flag. No change there other than the base size. You move the flag to it or next to it in case. So that still the same except for 30 mils. The big change here is contesting now is 3 inches. And so it says that down here within 3 inches of the terrain itself, and no opponent contests it. So everything is really streamlined there. Everything is 3 inches, whether it's contesting the 30, the 40, the terrain piece, it does not matter. Everything is 30 mil, within 3 inches of that objective piece, whatever that is. And then caches, slight change to the cache as well. To score the cache, a player must have a friendly model forfeit its combat action while within 3 inches of the opponent's cache, no longer base to base. So while you are within 3 inches of the cache, the opponent's cache, and no enemy models contested. So now you can't just throw your models in down deep and score a cache like you used to be able to. So you have to clear the zone within 3 inches of it, and then any one model within 3 inches of it can forfeit that combat action to score that cache. Let's see here. Killbox, still 12 inches. None of that's changing. Assassination victory, all of these things are the same. Victory points, all that is the same. Should it go to 7? Now let's dig into what you really care about, our objectives, the scenarios that we'll be playing for the next year. Scenario 1, Color Guard. All right, so the player wins immediately if, after scoring their opponent's turn, at least 3 victory points. So that's the same as before. Still the 3 victory point threshold on your opponent's turn, which I thought has been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. So let's look at this map. That's really what we want to know. Here it is. Here is ours. This is the same one that was up above. So you can see 2 flags on your lower right. There's a flag on your lower right, caches on your lower left, with the 50 mils in the middle. So you got those double colossals. You can really play with that one. And it also is symmetric. So you'll see this one is also symmetric on both sides. Alrighty, so every objective scored is 1 point. If you score the cache, it's worth 2 points. And if you score the scenario, if you secure the scenario terrain, it is 2 victory points as well. So this one says, at the end of each scoring round, after points have been scored, starting with the first player turn, each player places their opponent's flag on a terrain within 5 inches of the last scenario piece not already used on scenario terrain by either player. If no terrain piece is valid for the placement of the flag, do not move the flag. The flag remains on that location until the end of the game. So on this one, Color Guard, we're moving our opponent's flags around the table. So this is one of the things that they're really trying to push, that heavy terrain, those 12 to 14 pieces, smaller pieces that are all over the board. We want to move that flag all around the table as we play. Alrighty, scenario 2, Trench Warfare. Another new one for us, Trench Warfare. Our scores here, objectives are 1. Opponent's scenario terrain scored is 2. A player scores their own scenario terrain is 0. So a big one there. You're trying to score your opponent's, not your own. And then the cache is 2. Alrighty, so on this one, Earthworks. When a player win within 3 inches of a player's own 40 or 50 mil objectives, medium and small base warrior models gain cover and resistance to blast. Let's take a look at that. So they're all over. There's a 40 on both sides, kind of in where your caster's going to be wanting to hang out for the most part. You've got 50s on both sides as well, a little further out to the wings, and those flags really far out, 6 inches from the table edge. So again, really spreading us out, which I think has been a lot of fun. And then those caches in the middle, those are going to be hard to clear. That should be fun though. But those 40s and 50s give cover, so that's going to be an interesting thing, because now you may not take those defensive walls so much if you've got a chance of getting some cover there. So other than this, we got the 50s, the 40s, and then second player, second turn is when we start scoring, and that's the whole thing. Nothing moving on this one. Pretty straightforward here. Our next one here, Wolves at Our Heels. This is recurring, coming back from from Steamroller 24. So let's take a look and see if anything's changed here. Objectives are 1 point. Scenario terrain secured is 1 point. And this is what we're looking at. So we've got the 40s on, so the units on those bottom left of the tables. The flags kind of on that right, there's the right side there. And then that 50 mil fight in the middle, which is pretty similar to what it was before. So let's see what else has changed here. Wolves, so at starting the first player's third turn, so again, start of turn 3, we're advancing the kill box. So that's the same as before, pushing everybody to the middle of the table. Still the 3-point victory win. None of that's changing. Let's see here. At the end of each turn, after points have been scored, players must move each 40 mil objective they control 3 inches towards their opponent's table edge. After moving objectives, a player whose 40 mil objective has completely crossed the 24-inch center line of the map earns 3 victory points. If both objectives cross the same turn, no points earned. So this was a big one. They talked about this. I think it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologize. They talked about this about kind of the racing of the two things of the two objectives moving up the table. It can be hard to see who's further. So they just made it a clear first one to completely cross that center line gets the 3 points. And I think that's still the same objective, the same goal of what they're trying to accomplish, but a lot cleaner way to do it. So that is really cool. And let's see here. There are 15 inches of the table, so you have to basically go another 9 inches up the table. So if you can beeline it, you're looking at 3 rounds to do that. So that'd be bottom of 2, top of 3. Bottom of 3 is the soonest that can happen. Alrighty. Payload. Another one coming back from Steamroller 24 is Payload. Alrighty, so let's take a look at this map. We'll go back up in a second. So we got the 40s in the middle, so big unit fight in the middle. The cohorts off on the wings, 9 inches from the edge there. So you got to have those cohort models off to the edges, and then that terrain flag scenario in the bottom left. So let's take a look at this. Made to haul. After moving their 50 mil objective at the end of their turn, that player may move one friendly cohort model 5 inches directly toward their 50 mil objective. Well, that's kind of cool. So after moving, scenario elements, the 50s and the 40s. Let's see here. Anything else? Here we go. At the end of each scoring turn, after points have been scored, a player securing a 50 mil objective may move that objective up to 3 inches toward their scenarios or opponent's scenario terrain, and then an extra inch for each 40, 50 secured by that. So this sounds very much like the old one, updated with the current rules, of course, but this is going to play very similar to the old Payload, which was a lot of fun. So that'll be great. So you're moving your 50 up towards your opponent's 40, and then you get to move cohorts in that. So as the game progresses, you're coming into the middle of the board. Scenario 5, almost through this. 2 fronts. The other one making it back from scenario Steamroller 24. 2 fronts. Alrighty, so again, we're going to look at the map here. So really spread out here. So we have, looks like we're going to have a unit fight on that right side of there, and we're going to have Jack and Beast fight on the left side with that one flag in the middle. Notice that's player 2's flag right there in the middle of the table. That's interesting. I like it. So with this one now, let's see here. Objectives are 1. Terrain is 1. If a player scored both 50 or both 40, 2 victory points. So if you can get either wings completely secured, that is worth an extra 2 victory points. So that would be a 4-point swing right there, which is really nice. Let's see here. And then anything else going on in this one? Nothing's moving around. That's it for 2 fronts. Just playing on both wings there. And the final one is Best Laid Plans. And this one looks really interesting. And as you're looking at this, you might be thinking, this sounds a lot like Incursion, and that is by design, folks. So here's our map. Lots of stuff going on here. We're using everything here. We got the 50s in the middle. We're going to have the big fight of the Beasts and the Jacks in the middle. We have the 40s off that left side. So we have the units battling out over there. We have the cash on the right side. So we have those going on, and those are really close, 21 inches up from both sides of the board. So those are really close. You have to basically clear both of those things, contest yours, clear theirs, score it. That's going to be a big fight as well. And then we have that flag back in kind of your deployment zone way back there as well. So let's see the extra rules on this one. Alrighty. So still the 3 victory points on your opponent's turn. That's pretty standard across all these, which is great. We got the 50s, the 40s, the caches, the flags. You got to bring all those things, which is a lot of fun. The victory points. Let's see what we got here. So at starting the second player's second turn, at the end of each player's turn, a player earns victory points as described below. At the end of the second player's first turn, before scoring, the second player rolls a D3. So that's going to be changing stuff a lot on this one. Wow. Okay. So, second player's first turn. Before scoring, the second player rolls a d3. If they roll a 1, they remove both caches from the game. If they roll a 2, remove both 40 mils from the game. If they roll a 3, remove both 50 mils for the game. That is crazy at the end of the second player's first turn. So after turn 1, you've run everything up, ready to go score all the things, not knowing which one of those 3 things is going to be deleted. So either the middle pit, the left wing, or the right wing, one of those 3 things is going to collapse and you have to score all the rest. That's crazy. It sounds like a lot of fun. So objectives are 1, scenario terrain is 1, and the cache are 2. Because again, you can only score caches once and then they're gone. Then yeah, still that. So this one, I'm intrigued on this one. It sounds like a lot of fun. A really dynamic play. Oh my gosh. And I just noticed, I was thinking the deployment zone was 15 inches and I got really concerned there. It's still 11. My mind threw me off. Apologize. But this still sounds like a lot of fun. Like I said, you got to throw everything out there. Something at the end of turn 1, something's going to get deleted, and then you have to adjust and go from there. So that sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, a couple things you may have noticed from the start of this document that might have been missing. The model painting conversions section is gone. And there's a couple other things. They're not actually gone. They're just moved to the back of the document where it's not as pertinent unless you're digging into that. So that's what's here at the end of this document is all those things. And these are all the same as they were, updated with Steamforged and all the current nomenclature. And these are all the same there. Sportsmanship, all that came down here. None of this is different. And yeah, the rest of this is all the same. If you're wondering about clock, that has remained the same. So if you prefer the 75 point level, still at a 50-minute. If you're playing 100 point, still at that 1 hour clock. And terrain has made a couple of little changes. So for the most part, terrain is going to be the same here. They added 2 pieces here just for clarity, and this is going to help TOs out a lot. Hills are uniform the height. So whatever the hill, the height is, that max height on the hill, that is the height of the hill for the entirety of it. Same with obstructions. If you have a building with a peaked roof, it doesn't matter where you're standing, all those, the building is fixed height of the highest part of that obstruction. And so one of the things to make sure you're talking about that is as you're looking at those obstructions, if your obstruction has a chimney stack or something like that on it, talk about that with your opponents. Make sure you know, are we talking the peak of the hill, the peak of this? As a TO, if I come to a table and they have not discussed that, then I'm going to go rules as written. The highest point of the piece of terrain is the height of that. And that is what it says here. So if you want to do something different, talk with your opponent about that. But that's what it says here. However tall the tallest point is, that's what this is. Whether they are hills or obstructions, we just make sure we make that a little easier and it's clear for all of this. And then the rest of that is the same. Quadrant method and all that. Now, one thing I've kind of skimmed through all of this, and maybe you're interested in it, is the artwork. We already looked at this one, but you might have noticed there's been some leaks in this document. And let's get to the first one here. It's right here. So this one is the Gravedigger ammo crate. So this is their small airdrop. So that's what that looks like. That's kind of cool. And then if we keep going after all of these, let me change my scroll there. There we go. Passed right over Plugger. So here is one of the character warjacks for Plugger standing on that Crix chassis. So that looks pretty sweet. And then there was a Crix jack down here as well. You've all seen Hades, but he looks awesome too. And you've all seen Lazarenko. Yeah. And there is the Maelstrom in all of its glory. I glossed right over that. So good looking. Anyway, that has been Steamroller 2025. Oh yeah, and there's Cynthia too. If you are a Crix or one of those players, looking forward to those Gravediggers. Oh, and I just noticed the Gravedigger logo on the front of her rocket. That is awesome. Anyway, if you are interested in any of that, that's all here. By the time this video is released, this document should be in your hands as well, or released to the app. So this is not new. When you look at it, go download the app. It's free. You can check out these rules for yourself. And that's all there for you. And again, if you like this video, let us know. Hit that like, subscribe, leave some comments. Let us know what you're looking forward to. Is there one of those scenarios that you're hesitant to play or ones you're really looking forward to play? I can tell you the new one for me that I'm really looking forward to is Scenario 6. That just looks like a ton of fun right here. That's what I'm looking forward to. This best laid plans. excited for that. So I'm going to get those going today. Today watches. That's Wednesday, the day it drops out. So that's what we're looking at. Hit that like, subscribe. Let us know what you want. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any other questions, let us know. Thank you much.